Hey everyone, it's Carolyn. Welcome to the channel. Today I have another pick a pile reading for you, and today we're going to be figuring out how you can ground yourself, helping you understand how you can center yourself in a way that's going to work for you. Because there's so many different ways to ground, but not everything is going to be the perfect fit for one person. And so today I have 4 different piles for you to choose from, and what we're going to do, because this is the Dreams of Gaia deck, is I'm going to have you pick these by element. So you have the first pile with the earth element, the second pile with the fire element, the third pile with the air element, and the fourth pile with the water element. So take a moment and pause the video if you need to. If you want, in the description box, the timestamps to each of the piles are going to be there, so if you're drawn to angel numbers, go ahead and look at those. But take a moment and pause the video and meditate on what element you feel is calling you or that you need to embody. You can also look at what element dominates your chart and see if that's what pile you want to choose, or you can go in the opposite direction and see what element is missing from your astrological chart and use that to help ground yourself. Really just do what feels right for you. Like I said, take time to meditate. You can always pick more than one pile if that's what you're being drawn to. This is a collective reading, so it's meant for lots of people, so take what resonates and leave what doesn't. If you want to get your own personal in-depth reading, I do sell them. You can check out my Etsy shop, or you can message me on Facebook or Instagram. And if you find this reading resonates and you want to leave a donation, they're always appreciated. I'm going to have all my links in the description box down below. I want to say, if you're new to the channel, welcome. Please subscribe. I would love to have you a part of this family, and make sure you turn on that bell notification so you don't miss out when I post future videos. I post more pick a pile readings like this. I also post collective readings and zodiac readings along with other educational videos to help you with your spiritual journeys. And I'm going to have more of my videos linked in the cards above that you can watch after this one. And so with all that being said, I'm going to go ahead and start off the reading with the earth element. So those of you who chose the earth element, for your cards you have heaven and earth, abundant choice, union, 2 of earth, and 5 of earth. So I really feel like the way that you're meant to ground yourself is through connection. And I mean connection in all forms. So this is connection of you and others. This is connection of you and animals. This is connection of you and nature. And this is connection of you and yourself. I think that's how you ground yourself, because it makes it where you're not just like looking at things and observing them in the sense of, how is this happening? How is this going to work out? It makes it where you're no longer looking at something like it's in your way and you have no means of overcoming it. When you feel connected, you feel secure enough to say, okay, this is challenging, but I can do it. Like I have my team, I have my support, and I know what I'm capable of. It's almost like when you ground yourself, it's about releasing what's going on around you and just focusing in on the moment. And by doing that, it's like that's your moment to kind of put on your armor, get your head in the right space, so that moving forward you approach things differently. Because like I said, it's about connection. And so when you have connection, you also have communication, and you have reliability, you have dependability. And so even if this is an obstacle you have to face by yourself, you're not dealing with it alone. You're not dealing with your emotions alone. And so I feel like with this heaven and earth energy here, this represents the energy of connection. It represents the energy of heaven and earth being synced and having the beauty in the things surrounding you, allowing yourself to feel connected to whatever you believe in your day-to-day life. It's an energy about feeling this connection where you're paying attention to the signs from the universe, and it's like you're grounding yourself to kind of slow down for a minute and observe things in a way where you're actually seeing the truth behind them, instead of just observing things and taking in all this information and having this influx of information where that is very overwhelming. To me, it feels like slowing things down and really understanding them. I think that is why connection is a big part for you, and that's why you have this union card here as well, because with the union comes the ability to collaborate. There is that communication, there is that perspective being changed, opening up your eyes, seeing things in a different way. And that makes it where it's a lot easier for you to calm yourself, because again, it's this feeling of no longer being isolated. I also get the sense that when it comes to how you ground yourself, you cannot feel confined, you cannot feel constrained. When it comes to grounding yourself, not only do you need that connection, but you need to be in an environment, or take yourself out of your current environment and go someplace where you feel like you're not being stifled, where you feel like you have room to breathe. That's why connection is so valuable to you. It's not about any type of connection. It's about important bonding, growing connections. And that's why I feel like for some of you who are watching this, when I was talking about connection, you're like, no, when I hang out with people, I feel more drained. Like surrounding myself with other people does not ground me, does not stabilize me. It actually drains me. It makes me feel worse. And what your spirit guides want you to know is those are not the type of people that you need to connect with when you need to ground. When you need to ground and you're connecting with not yourself, not with nature, not with animals, but with other people, it has to be people who are in the right mindset, who you feel you can be yourself with. Like I said, you don't like to feel confined, you don't like to feel constrained. And I get the sense that you are an empath or you are highly sensitive. And so you pick up other people's emotions. And so this makes it that when you're trying to ground, you have to make sure that you're with people who's going to bring this calming energy into your own energy. You cannot try and ground yourself by people who are chaotic, by people who don't have your best interest at heart, or by people who don't understand you. Because what that actually is going to do, it's not going to ground you. It's going to make you feel worse because now you are not doing anything to help your current feelings, and now they are compounding upon the energy you are picking up from this other person. You have to go and ground by people who make you feel safe and secure. And when you ground with these people, you don't have to talk about your issues or what's on your mind. Sometimes just being in their presence, being in their energy where you feel that connection between you two is what's going to ground you. It's going to take your minds off the physical things and make it where you're just having a moment to relax and unwind. And that's going to allow you then to feel refreshed when you go to approach things that are daunting you. And so when it comes to grounding with other people, these are connections in which your inner child feels loved, they feel secure. These are people where, honestly, I feel like they feel like you're home. Like that's why you can ground with them, because it would be the same as if you were just going home after a long day of work and just relaxing. It's like that's the environment these people bring into your life. And for those of you where you haven't experienced this with a person yet, I feel like Spirit's telling you start to try and make new connections. You're going to find these people who make you feel like you can just relax and like you can sort out your obstacles and like you can depend on them if you ever needed to. If you haven't found them yet, you got to keep looking for them, because you are very much in sync with your emotions. Even if you don't realize that yet, you are someone, you need that connection. You need that union. If you are isolated, if you're all alone, that is going to be extremely hard for you to ground yourself. I feel like when you look at the instances of your life in which things have felt overly chaotic, it was in the instances in which you felt alone, or like you couldn't rely on people, like you couldn't talk to others, and you felt like you were being backed into a corner, like you were being confined. And so those energies make it where it's very hard for you to figure things out. I feel like that's really not what you thrive under. Even in this abundance card, see how she's working with the energy of the universe to bring in the abundance, bring in the manifestations. When you ground, some of you, I feel like it's important for you to also understand the connection between you and the universe. So write a gratitude list, but also work on manifestations. Now, you don't want to do this when you need to ground, like when you're in the very chaotic energy, but after you have grounded for a bit, you feel in sync with the universe, that is when you can do your best manifestation work. Because again, you have this highly connective energy. And so it makes it where you attract a lot of things towards you. I think that's also why you can attract the very draining people, because people sense your energy and they love that about you, and so they want to be by you. And so you have this highly magnetic energy. And so use that to your benefit. After you have grounded for a bit, use that to manifest things. Use that to actually get what you need. You also have the choice card here. So the choice card is the full card of this deck. And so with this choice card here, again, this reaffirms the energy that for you to ground, you need to feel like new beginnings are upon you. Like nothing's in your way. No obstacle is going to actually hold you back. I honestly feel like when it's time for you to ground, it's about you connecting with others, you know, having the stability, having the support, but also you connecting with the universe, you know, by being physically outside and really seeing the beauty of everything, you know, slowing down. But then comes the energy of connecting to yourself. And I feel like out of all the things that you can ground yourself with, connecting to yourself is one of the harder ways for you to ground, because you overcomplicate it. You have the Two of Earth here. So the Two of Earth is representing this energy of balancing and almost like this juggling act. And so when it comes to how you can ground yourself, it's about balancing things, you know, having the ability to sync your life up and, you know, balance grounding with all these different things, grounding through nature, grounding with people, and grounding with yourself. I feel like you need to be doing a combination of all three in order to truly ground yourself. You know, in moments where you need to ground, doing one of them is okay, but your overall aspect of life, you need to be doing a mixture of all of them in order for you to actually be connected to who you are. Because I think when it comes to connecting with nature, that is allowing you the time and the space to see the practical aspects of things and allow yourself to figure these steps out of something. Allow yourself to figure out the plans that you're making in order to overcome an obstacle or in order to work through what's currently going on in your life, and let it go, release it. When you're out in nature and you're grounding through nature and connecting with the signs from the universe, that's going to be where it's your time to think of plans and think of the physical steps that you can do. Because you're grounding in the physical reality, it's allowing you the space to focus on your physical goals and the physical steps. Whereas when you're grounding with people, that's meant to clear your mind. That is meant to rejuvenate you and refresh you, where you can go and approach things with a different perspective, where you have this out-of-box thinking and you think that things are limitless. And so that's why you need the mixture of the ways to ground, because they're going to be creating different results for you and different outcomes for you. One is the overarching energy, the way that you approach things and the ideas that you're thinking of, whereas the other one is the actual steps you're doing, of what steps you're agreeing to and how you're lining them up in order to achieve what you want. Now, when you're connecting with yourself, this is where you're connecting and grounding yourself so that you actually feel secure on what you can do and how you can overcome the obstacle. How you can make it where this obstacle is no longer daunting because you believe you're capable of overcoming it. Because you can have the perspectives, you can have the steps, you can have the support of others. If you yourself don't feel like you're strong enough to overcome something, none of that's going to help ground you, because you're going to be so stressed out about your own failure and feeling like you're not cut out to do it, feeling like it's overwhelming because yes, you have the steps, yes, you have the plan, but I can't do that. Someone else could do it. I can't do it. It's like you're in your head too much. You have to connect with yourself to find your own inner strength. And I think when it comes to you, you struggle with finding the security in yourself with the 5 of Earth here. It's almost like you see the worst of yourself. And I think sometimes it's very difficult for you to ground because you don't feel connected to yourself. You don't feel like you even like yourself. And I feel like for some of you, you create this label or idea of who you are that you think everyone sees you as, that you're like, well, why should I even bother changing? And so then instead of grounding yourself and picking yourself up and overcoming things, you just continue to let them pile onto you. And that makes it extremely hard for you to ground yourself because you feel like you're swimming through all the chaos that you have just allowed to happen. And I think that's why confinement and containment is something that you do not do good with, because part of you feels trapped by others' view of you and what other people call you and what other people say about you. And I think when it comes to how you can ground yourself, if you're feeling like this and you're like, well, what's even the point? I don't even know I'm gonna bother to change anyone's mind. Like, I'm just not gonna get through this. Like, it's too difficult, it's too hard. I don't have the energy, I don't have the time. Like, it's not gonna be worth it. For those of you feeling like that, it's about focusing on your connection between the two sides of yourself. So when I say connection to yourself, it's connection to your true self, the hidden part of you, the part of you that you're not fully seeing, the part of you that you're not fully embracing. I feel like you feel like these bad habits are defining you. And what I feel like Spirit wants you to do in order to help connect to who you are is to look at your bad habits and see what the catalyst is, what they're stemming from. What is it that's missing from your life that is causing you to continue to make these habits, to do these things? What's the common catalyst? And by finding the common catalyst, you are going to be able to see what is actually what you're wanting. And that's causing you to act out in these ways. Because when you're doing things that you don't like, the reason for it lies within our sense of ego and our defenses. And so once you pinpoint what you're trying to defend against, instead of trying to be defensive, you can allow yourself to heal this inner wound and allow yourself to make it where you're protecting yourself, but also make it where you're not going to be reacting in the same ways, because you're going to teach yourself not to react so much to things. I get the sense that when it comes to grounding with yourself and connecting to yourself, this is how you're going to build up that level of inner security where it doesn't matter what people think about you. You're going to prove them wrong because you don't want to be that way. I feel like when it comes to you grounding yourself, it's about finding this connection with yourself, of you seeing these things about yourself that you don't necessarily love, but teaching yourself to love them anyway because they make them who you are, and also finding the connection between these two halves of yourself where they can work in harmony. So now, instead of getting rid of this other part of you, make it where you're not doing things that are hurting you anymore, but allow yourself to keep that energy and transform it or channel it into something more productive. And so when it comes to the connection of yourself, you're not planning the steps, you're not getting the new perspective. By connecting with yourself, you're figuring out how to channel things efficiently, where you are changing your patterns, you're changing your routine in order to make you feel like you can overcome this. So this is where you're affecting nothing to do with the goal and everything to do with yourself and your ability to believe in yourself. And through the combination of connecting on all areas of your life and playing with this juggling act, that is what's actually going to make it where you're able to ground yourself and you're able to feel strong and secure with what you're doing, because now you're taking time to reanalyze everything that's currently standing in your way. And you have gotten the new perspective, broken the steps down into things that are capable, that make sense. And you've also shown yourself that you can do it by just taking it one step at a time. And so now the things that were daunting, the things that were in your way, they don't feel as intense. So it's going to help ground you, it's going to help stabilize you and calm you. And now for things where it's not so much goals that you need to ground yourself from, like it's not an obstacle of a physical thing, and it's more of your own emotions, by connecting with others, with yourself, with the universe, that's allowing yourself to kind of distract yourself and channel the current energy you're feeling into something that's productive for you, especially when you are connecting with yourself, because that's going to allow you some time to kind of do your own version of shadow work and figure out what you can do to make yourself feel better about this. And even if that isn't moving on, but it's about, honoring the feeling and not letting it control you, that's still progress. That's still a win for you. That's still how you're grounding yourself. Not everything that you ground for is going to be disappearing from your life instantly, but grounding is going to help you feel more connected, feel like you're in more control, and feel like you are finally calling your power back. And so again, I feel like connection is your key. And so if you are surrounded by people where you feel more drained and exhausted by them after you hang out with them, try and create some emotional distance where you're not hanging out all the time, because I feel like this person is really affecting your own emotions. Because like I said, you're highly sensitive and it's really easy for you to connect with people. And so when you connect with people, you want to make sure that they're the people worth connecting with, that you actually have the energy for. And by allowing yourself to lean on the connection in your life, you're going to feel more supported and you're going to feel like you can do this. Like I said, it brings this energy of believing in yourself and believing in your life so that you can get this abundance that you can manifest. I also feel like it's important when you ground, you have to remember that you are protected. It's like you have this dragon behind you watching your back. The dragon's not going to let anything happen to you. And so some of the physical things you can do when you need to ground yourself, like let's say you have a lot of energy, you need to do something with it, I would suggest going for a walk in nature or doing something outside where you're connected with nature, or something with animals, because I feel like that's going to be a good outlet for you to get your energy out, but still ground yourself, see these signs from the universe while you're outside, pay attention to your surroundings, really observe a lot. Or if you need to go and make plans with friends who uplift your energy, go and do that, because that's going to help distract you a bit and put you in a better mindset where then you can approach these topics and these overwhelming issues with a clearer mindset. And then when it comes time to connecting with yourself, doing shadow work, looking up some prompts, doing things to help understand yourself better, or doing meditations where you're focusing on yourself and your inner child and what you truly want out of things. That's what I would suggest is best for you to ground yourself with, because these are all things that focus on that connection, but also create this balance of distraction where you're not ignoring the issue, but you're also not focusing on it where you're just creating more worry for yourself. And so I hope that this reading helped you understand a bit more about yourself and how you can best ground so that you can approach things with a better mindset. If this did resonate, let me know in the YouTube comments down below. Also give this video a big thumbs up and share with others who need to hear it. If you want to get your own private in-depth reading, I do sell them on my Etsy shop. And if this reading resonated for you and you want to leave a donation, it's always highly appreciated. I'm going to have all my links in the description box down below. I'm also going to have more videos linked in the cards above for you to watch next. And I can't wait to see you all in my next video. I hope you have a good one. Bye. So those of you who chose the fire element, you have the Hero, King of Fire, and Faith. So how you can ground yourself, honestly, I think is by doing activities in your life and channeling your energy that way. I think when you are doing something that is of interest to you, it allows you to clear your mind and almost go into this meditative state, because not all meditations need to be where you're just sitting and trying to silence your thoughts. When you are doing something like creating artwork or kind of in your daily routine, you can do a type of meditation where you're allowing yourself to be creative and allowing your mind to flow free. And so I feel like for you, that's how you ground yourself. So I would suggest either finding a hobby that you really like, that you can put your energy into, that you try and keep as fun as possible. If you are going to do this for your career, make sure that you are not crossing the line of feeling obligated to do it. Because if you're doing something just for the sake of doing it, it's not going to feel as meditative. It's not going to help ground you because it's going to feel like a chore. So you want to keep this something that's lighthearted, that you're actually passionate about. So if you're going to be doing something that's career related, make sure this aspect of what you're doing to ground yourself does not feel like, oh, I have to do it. It's actually something you want to do. And if you don't want to do it, then try and find something else to help ground you. I feel like for some of you though, this is actually going to be doing something either for charity or helping people out, because you have the Hero card here. So to me, this indicates that it's like what you do to help ground yourself is not just something you're doing for yourself. Yes, it's helping you ground yourself, but I feel like whatever you're creating, whatever you're doing, whatever you're putting energy towards, it's for like this bigger purpose. It's bigger than just yourself. And I think the reason for it is because I think when you ground yourself, it's because you have so much energy and it's like you don't know what to do with this energy. And so it's like now you're having a way to channel the energy, but it's like you don't want to waste time. It's like whatever you're doing, it's either going to be something that you're very passionate about, and so it's cathartic in that way, or it's going to be something that, yes, you're passionate about it, but it also is creating something or helping people in a certain type of way where that end goal is what's actually motivating you and creating the passion. And so maybe you don't care so much about what you're doing, but that end result, that end reward of helping people out is what's going to ground you. And I say that because the King of Fire, he really represents the energy of creation, of going out and doing things, channeling your interest and your passions into things, so that it's kind of like taking something internal and bringing it external. And I think the reason this really helps to ground you is because when you need to ground yourself, it's because you're dealing with all this energy that it's like you don't know what to do with it. And this can be because you have stresses in your daily life, but this could also just be your emotions are out of whack. And so by having something physical that you can channel it into, it's going to make it where it's like you're seeing it. And once you see it, you can kind of place it onto that thing and either release it or remove it and get rid of that feeling. Or it could be something that you're like, wow, I'm really proud of it. And like, yes, I went through this energy when I was making it, but I took this energy and I transformed it into something. And so it grounds you because it's kind of teaching you how to separate what you're feeling from who you are, and making it where it's easier for you to shield yourself, protect yourself, and not take everything so personally. And it helps to separate things where you start to see that you can overcome it, that you can change things and take control over things. And so it's going to build this deeper level of faith within you where you're learning to trust yourself and that you're capable of overcoming things, overcoming obstacles, overcoming conflict with people, overcoming your own emotions. And it's also teaching you, because of the way that you ground things by actually taking action in your life, it's teaching you that you have the ability to face things, to sit with them, and turn them into something else. And so yes, this is going to be the practice of how you ground yourself, and it's going to act as your meditation, but subconsciously what it's teaching you is that when you are facing these challenges or these external issues, it's teaching you how to problem solve, because you're learning how to confront things, how to face them, understand what they are, and then take that and turn it into some solution. Make it where either you move on, make it where you release it, make it where you fix things, make it where you find a solution, make it where you're at peace with it, where it's not controlling you. And so it's teaching you kind of how to make the plan and transform this energy into an outcome that you're satisfied with. And so I would also suggest that when it comes to grounding yourself, if you have an actual problem in your life, if you don't have time, let's say you're super busy, you're stressed out because you already procrastinated and you're running out of time, the way you can kind of ground yourself is just by forcing yourself to do what you need to do and take this energy and turn it and transform it into finding a solution. So let's say that one of these stressors that you're dealing with that you need to ground yourself for is you're overwhelmed because you do not like where you're living and you feel like you need to change your environment, but you're a little overwhelmed because you don't know what you want, you don't know where you're gonna go, and you're just very confused by things. Allow yourself to ground by just like looking for places to live, looking for either the location or the types of house you want, so this way you know what you're looking for, and just like kind of channel this energy into it. And by doing that, it's almost going to create this meditative energy where you are allowing yourself to get used to the idea, getting used to the solution, but not committing. Because right now you're just searching, you're just understanding what you want, what you don't want. And so it's kind of like you're dipping your toes in the water, you're grounding yourself, you're calming yourself down. And by doing this, then you're going to be able to find more solutions, bridge more gaps, understand what you want, and then maybe you can find some place you like and try and make an offer, figure out that entire process of how things are going to work. But it's kind of like that's going to help you take time to gather your thoughts and figure out what you want. I feel like if you're ever lost and confused because you don't know what to do, start doing something. And by doing that something, that's going to act as like a meditation, and you're going to figure out what your next step is actually going to be, where maybe the first thing you do isn't something that is directly related or doesn't help you get closer to that solution, but it's going to help you in the sense of helping you clear your mind and figure out what your first step actually is. So it's almost like you're taking a first step of just action, and then your next step is going to be what you actually need to do for this situation. But I really feel like the way that you ground is by creation. And I think it's so fitting too, because the spider represents creation and kind of webbing things together, connecting things together, and creating this environment for yourself. And so you were drawn to this fire element, I think in part because the spider is on the card and it represents that creativity. That's what you need to ground with, is your creativity. Allow yourself to just get lost in the moment of whatever you're doing and allow that to act as a meditation where your ideas can flow freely. And that's going to be how you ground yourself and you figure out what to do. I feel like a lot of you, like your hobby is going to be a bit more creative, but it doesn't have to be. It just has to be something that you're passionate about, that you can spend time doing, that's going to allow you to let go of your stresses, kind of take a break, distract yourself a bit, and act as like a moment to meditate. Instead of having to try and sit and do actual meditations, it's not that you can't do actual meditations, but I feel like it just doesn't work that well with your energy. I think you find it difficult to just sit in silence with your thoughts. And so I think if you're actually doing something, that kind of distracts you from having to do the traditional method of meditation. And it makes it where you do meditation without realizing it. I think there's a little bit of subconscious block when you try and force yourself to do things. And so this is a way you can ground where you're not feeling like you're forcing yourself to ground. It makes it a little more interesting, a little bit more fun, and that makes it more doable for you. And if you haven't found what you're passionate about yet or what you could do as a hobby, don't freak out about it yet. Just try different things out, experiment, have fun. What you really want to remember is that this interest that you have, this passion that you have that you're going to spend time doing, is meant to be something that's authentic to you. So you can listen to other people's suggestions of what you should do with your time, but if that's not passionate for you, if that's not what inspires you and makes you really want to do it, then don't do it. Find something that speaks to you. Allow yourself to be authentic, because if it's not authentic to you, like I was saying in the beginning, it's going to feel like a chore, and it's not going to allow you to get in this meditative state. It's not going to allow you to actually ground yourself. It's going to feel like an obligation or something like you're forcing yourself to do. And like I said, this is not going to work if you feel like you're forcing yourself to do it. That's why traditional meditation doesn't really work for you as well, because it's just not what works best with your mind. I really feel like you're a very creative person and you think in these abstract ways. And so sometimes trying to force yourself to do things kind of makes you want to rebel against that. And so then it makes it where your body kind of shuts down and can't get in sync with things. I feel like when you're trying to do traditional meditation, it's not that you can't silence your mind, but you feel like it's not being productive, and it's almost like you're rushing to get it over with instead of actually being in the moment. And so I feel like by finding your passions and focusing on them, learning about them, and developing your skills with them, that's actually going to make it where you're able to quiet your mind, but have fun, enjoy it, not feel like you're forced to do it. And it's just gonna work better for you. It's gonna feel relaxing. And when you're relaxed, that's how you ground. If you're feeling like you're forced to do something, it's not gonna be grounding, because you're not gonna enjoy it. You're not gonna be able to relax. And so, if anything, it might make you a little bit more stressed out when you're trying to do things that you're forcing yourself to do. So just be very kind with yourself. Take it easy and try different things out until you find what speaks to you. And so I really hope this advice helps you out. Let me know in the comments down below if it did. Also give this video a big thumbs up and share with others who need to hear it. If you want to get your own private reading, I do sell them. You can check out my Etsy shop, and if this reading resonated and you want to leave a donation, they're always greatly appreciated. All my links are going to be in the description box down below. If you haven't already subscribed, please do so. I would love to have you a part of this family, and I'm going to have other videos linked in the cards for you to watch next. I post new videos every single week, so make sure you turn on that bell notification so you don't miss out when I post my next one. I can't wait to see you all in my next video. I hope you have a good one. Bye. So those of you who chose the air element, you have wisdom, death and rebirth, healing, and knowledge for your cards. So what this indicates to me when it comes to how can you ground yourself, I really get the sense that there is a little bit of a disconnect with you. And so I get the sense that in order for you to ground yourself, there needs to be this daily check-in with yourself. If you don't want to do it daily, that's okay. I would suggest that would actually help you out a lot. But if you don't want to do this daily check-in, do it when you feel like you need to ground. When you are feeling emotionally overwhelmed, or when you're facing a difficult challenge where you need to clear your head. And so what I suggest for you to do is focus on yourself, not in the sense of a meditation. It doesn't feel like you need to do meditations where you're like sitting and clearing out your mind. If anything, I think it's actually about bringing things to your attention. I think you can be very analytical, and I think you can focus on your goals, but then kind of lose sight of your own needs and desires in the meantime. And I think that's what's causing you to need to ground, is you need this check-in to remind you about yourself, and not just who you want to be or what your goals could be. It's about in the present moment checking in with yourself. And so my suggestion for how you can ground is allow yourself to take a moment out of your day and to sit with whatever you're feeling right then in the moment and acknowledge it, confirm it, honor it, acknowledge the truth of what's currently going on. I feel like you have a tendency to try and push past things or try and move on from them and act like, oh, that doesn't bother me, and on to the next. And the reason you need to ground is because acknowledging the truth doesn't hurt you. Because consciously, you might think, oh, well, I'm not thinking that is a threat, so I'm not going to worry about it. But subconsciously, those feelings of anxiousness, those feelings of being overwhelmed, those feelings of not knowing what to do aren't going to dissipate just because you're in denial. And so when you try and push past things, you're doing that on a conscious level, but not a subconscious level. And so I feel like in order for you to ground, you have to take a moment to acknowledge how you're feeling and accept it. And by accepting it, you're no longer denying it, and it's going to be like, okay, now we're no longer in this, I don't know why I feel this anymore. It's going to be something there's an explanation for. And so if there's an explanation for it, if there's a reason for it, then there's a solution to it. And I think this is how you're going to ground, because you do have this analytical mindset. but you have to do it in a way that's balanced and use it as an asset instead of something that you use to try and deny things with and sweep them under the rug. And so when it comes to how can you ground, I think you need to acknowledge these emotions and sit with them. And it doesn't just have to be emotions, anything on your mind from that day. Acknowledge how it's affecting you and be like, I'm thinking about this and this is how it's making me feel. Very much focus on your feelings as a result of whatever else is on your mind. You want to sync them up with one another because your feelings kind of act as the explanation to the reason you're thinking about things still. Because the emotional impact is what hurts our ego or sense of self. And so you're not holding on to things in your past that don't have any emotional ties to you. And so the same thing with your present. Yes, the thing itself might not be an emotion, but you're holding on to it because of that emotional reaction. And that's what you need to ground. That's what you need to clear out. And so with this, it's almost like you're having this check-in with yourself where you're acknowledging everything. So you're no longer hiding parts of yourself away, and you can allow yourself to see it with this death and rebirth energy where you then can heal it. You then can understand it. And from getting to be in sync with yourself comes the knowledge where you can then figure out a solution for it. You can figure out how you can release this. You can figure out how you can use this energy into something that helps you achieve a goal and kind of transform this energy. You can figure out what your steps forward are that allow you to process this emotion and still work for your goals. But it's about doing so in a way where you're bringing your emotions into things. I feel like that's what's missing from your life right now, is this separation of intellect and goals and desires from your emotions and what you actually need. And you need to bridge the gap. And so the way to bridge the gap is by having this check-in and allowing yourself to kind of practice with this exercise how to merge the two and how to get them to work in sync and balance your life a bit more. And I think by doing that, that's going to help you ground, because I get the sense this is kind of like merging two parts of yourself in a way that is actually enjoyable for you, because I get the sense you are someone where you do analyze a lot and you are someone where you do focus on your goals. You want to improve yourself, you want to better yourself, and it's just there's a little bit of a disconnect. And so all you're doing now is you're saying, okay, I see this disconnect, let me connect the missing pieces together and let me take time out of my day to sort through my mind and figure things out, connect them together and understand myself better. So it's helping you achieve your long-term goals, but it's also allowing you this moment of clarity, of grounding, of actually seeing the truth of the matter. And it's something that you're familiar with doing. You know how to analyze things. All you're doing now is analyzing your own emotions. And so I feel like that's why this is really the best way for you to ground, because it fits with your personality. It's something that's going to not be as difficult as you think. The biggest issue is going to be accepting what you're feeling. I think in the beginning, when you do start to ground this way, there might be instances where you try and summarize what you're feeling. And so instead of digging deep to understand the true emotion you're feeling, you're going to be going with the broader emotions and not necessarily getting to that root cause. But this is something with this grounding practice, it is going to take practice before you get to the root causes of things. But it's definitely something you want to start. Like I said, Spirit is suggesting to do it daily, but I understand not all of you have time for that, but definitely try and incorporate it in your life more than you have been. Definitely try and do these check-ins as often as you remember, because it's really going to help you out. And it's not even a matter about grounding yourself in moments of chaos, but by doing it more often, it's going to help prevent those chaotic moments, because you're going to be checking in with your emotions so much. You're going to start to build up your own intuition and understand what each emotion you feel is telling you. And then you're going to be able to act on it in the moment. Or some of you, you're going to be able to be proactive and kind of sense things before they happen, and you'll be able to prevent them from happening. And so this is really about getting you in sync with your body and your intuition and your emotions and what it's trying to tell you on an analytical front, and being able to bring this healing into your life where you pay attention to the patterns of your life. You pay attention to what you have been ignoring and you bring it into the light. You see the truth of it and then you do something about it. Right now, I feel like there's a lot that you're denying or a lot that you're not seeing, and it's been affecting you. And so it's time to accept that, and it's time to allow yourself to find a solution and allow yourself to heal. And as you do this, do not be afraid of your emotions. Do not be afraid of the truth of the situation, because when it comes to how you're going to ground and how you're going to solve this, it's better to have the messy truth out there and not love why you're feeling how you're feeling, but being able to then do something about it because you see the truth of it, instead of denying it and feeling this heavy energy or feeling confused and not having a solution, not being able to do anything about it. It's kind of like, would you rather that you acknowledge that you have a foundation issue and you need to pay a lot of money to get it fixed and deal with the headache of that, or would you rather the house collapse down around you? Because yes, they're both gonna require a little bit of setbacks, but one is something that you can manage, one is something that's doable, versus another one is one that's very chaotic, not within your own timeline, and one that creates a lot more setbacks as a result. So I feel like that's why you need to start grounding more often by doing this, because it's going to help you out moving forward. Those goals that you want, you're going to achieve them a lot faster by constantly checking in with yourself. And this is also going to show you if there's any goals or desires that you want that you end up changing your mind about. You're going to acknowledge that in the process instead of by the time you get to the finish line, because now you're going to win a prize that you didn't want. And so I feel like that's why you're meant to ground this way, because it's meant to help you see the truth of the situation and also see the truth of yourself and find what's authentic for you. It's really about letting go of just doing things for the sake of doing them and finding your motivation, finding your why, and finding the root causes of everything in your life that affects you, so you can figure out who you truly are. And so like I said, try and do this as often as you can. Spirit's suggesting once a day, but again, just as often as you can. I think it's really going to help you out and improve your life. And so I really hope this helps you out. If it did, let me know in the YouTube comments down below. Also give this video a big thumbs up and share with others who need to see it. If you want to get your own private reading, I do sell them. You can check out my Etsy shop or message me on Facebook or Instagram. And if this reading resonates and you want to leave a donation, they're greatly appreciated. All my links are going to be in the description box down below. I want to say, if you're new to the channel, welcome. Please subscribe. I would love to have you a part of this family, and turn on that bell notification so you don't miss out when I post my next video. I post new videos every single week, and I'm gonna have other videos linked in the cards above for you to watch next. I can't wait to see you all in my next video. I hope you have a good one. Bye. So those of you who chose the water element, for your cards, you have wisdom, perception, love, desire, journey, and union. So what I'm sensing for how you can ground yourself is actually very interesting. I think because of this journey card here, you ground yourself with action. And not action in the sense of you're just moving away from things, you're pushing things away. This is like deliberate action, because it's like here you are in your journey, you're at this crossroads, and so you have to decide what to do. You have to like decide what path is going to be what you're moving forward with. And with this perception card here, it's almost like the way you ground yourself is you allow yourself to take in everything and observe it, understand it, spend time thinking about it. I get the sense that it's like you don't just like take in information and then forget about it. It's like you're actually using your wisdom here, and as a result, it's like I feel naturally you have the ability to just sit with something, figure out the wisdom, figure out the lesson from it, and you allow every information that you encounter in your life to change your perception on things and allow you to adapt your long-term goal as a result. And so it's almost like you let everything in your life shape you, mold you. But you do it in a way where you're still authentic. It's like it's not shaping who you are, but it is allowing you to figure out, okay, this is who I am. What do I do from here? I get the sense it's like you're moving forward in a way that's deliberate, but that is mutable, that is changeable. And so it's almost like the way that you can ground is by allowing yourself to change, to grow, allowing yourselves the moment to take everything in and reanalyze things and see how this has shifted your perception of things. With this love card, I feel like there's grace that you have to have for yourself. I feel like a lot of you naturally have this, but if you don't, this is what you need to do. When you want to ground, you have to allow yourself to forgive yourself for what you didn't know, and you have to give yourself time to process things. To me, the way you ground, it's not in the sense of doing anything specific like meditation or something like that. To me, it's more like the way you ground is by just thinking about things And I feel like you're a very visual creature. So some of you, it's like, I feel like you might write stuff down. I feel some of you could be like authors, or you could listen to music and visualize things that way. But I get the sense it's almost like the way you process your thoughts, you process your emotions. It could be daydreaming, but it's like you have the ability to like visualize things. So like you could be visualizing like yourself in the future and where you want to be and how this new information is affecting it. But it's like you have these visions, some of you even vision boards. Like that's how you make your manifestations. You have vision boards that you allow yourself to adapt. You allow yourself to change as your ideas change. Because it feels to me like you're very much in sync with your desires. And so the way you ground is by like visualizing your future, but also visualizing yourself with who you are and how this information is shifting your life and how it's changing the current path that you're on. And then you take the action. So it's almost like you visualize things, you figure things out, you process them, and then you very quickly come in and you take this action and you use it to propel you forward, but you do it in a way in which you are understanding everything that's going on. You're grounding yourself throughout this process, because everything you're doing by processing and by figuring out this next action is about the moment. You're thinking about the long-term goals, and you're thinking about overcoming obstacles and what to do next. But it's not in the sense of, I need to get to that end result. You're allowing the end result to change based on your next step. And so it's like everything you're doing is very much you setting yourself in the moment and focusing on the moment. And it's like finding this union between the future and the present and bridging the gap between them and working with what's best for you, being in sync with yourself. And so the best way that you can ground is just allow yourself the wisdom of everything. Allow yourself to process it, allow yourself to think about it, and then allow yourself to do something with that. I don't think you're someone where you can just think about things and ground yourself that way. You need to do something as a result of it, because the way you ground is very unique. Your grounding not only serves the purpose of bringing you into a more peaceful state and into the present moment, but because of the way it brings you into this present moment, you need to channel it into something, because it's a very productive present moment type grounding. It allows you to ground yourself, but then also use this grounding moment to bring you into the next step. I almost feel like because of how your energy is, if you were to just sit and think about things, it creates this outburst of energy where it's like you don't know what to do with it. And so it almost creates an energy of which, okay, now you understand things, but now you have to ground yourself, because it's like you have so much inside of you, it's about to bubble over. And that's where you then need the action to complete the grounding process so that you can channel all your energy into this next step. And so it's like your grounding is two parts. The first part is taking the time to process things, understand them, change yourself by adapting with it, allowing this to influence you. But then because of how it's influencing you, you need to then channel that emotion out of you into something. And that's where this action comes into play. And I also get the sense, as far as traditional meditation goes, it's not that it would be bad for you, but you definitely need to follow it up with some action, and you would have to do some contemplation afterwards. So if you want to start by doing meditation and then thinking about what was brought up in that meditation and then take action with it, I think that would work for you. But if you only try to do traditional meditation, I feel like it would temporarily work, and then you get this influx of emotions, this overwhelmed feeling, because again, you have to take this energy and the things that kind of are still within you and channel them into something else. That's really the best way that you release stuff, that you can fully ground and feel comfortable with it. Because it's almost like the way your mind works is that you're very adaptable, and as a result, you need to have a very adaptable life. And when that's not in sync, that's when you really need to ground. And so the way that you ground allows you to adapt your life, and therefore allows things to be balanced. It allows you to feel like things are organized in a way that's working for you again. And something else I find really fascinating about you is that even though the way you ground requires action, I don't think there's necessarily a wrong action and a right action. To me, because your energy seems so adaptable, and it seems like you are someone where you really intake a lot of information and you have this perceptive energy that you allow to change you. No matter which action you take, it's going to lead to the cycle repeating. But again, this cycle doesn't feel like a bad cycle. It actually feels like it's very productive for you. It almost allows you to be in sync with your desires so well that you're never going to lose sight of what you truly want, because you're constantly checking in with yourself to ground. It's like you're constantly adapting your plans to allow you to ground and be connected and present with them, that by the time you would reach the end destination, it's something that you truly want. It's very authentic to you. And so it's like, yes, this is a lot of grounding in your lifetime, but it's done so in a way that's very purposeful, and that is actually very calculated for you. But again, it's not a bad energy I'm getting for the way that you ground. It's just a very unique way to ground. It's something where you really allow yourself to ground through the process of change, through the process of learning. And so I feel like if you're dealing with any obstacles, really sit and allow yourself to see what you can learn from this, what you can gain from it, or what you can do about it that's different than you would have thought of before. Kind of, how can this obstacle make you think outside of the box in order to get past it? Or what can you do to channel your energy to move on from it in a way where you're still honoring your current feelings? Because obviously not every obstacle we encounter itself is going to have a lesson. Sometimes things do suck just because they suck, but there is a way that you can learn from it, in the sense of you are learning how to pick yourself up from it or how to move on from it. So even though the obstacle itself isn't a learning lesson, there is a learning lesson in your life because that got thrown into your life. And so I think like that is really how you ground. It's the process of changing things and adapting things. And again, I feel like you have this very visual energy. So I would also suggest for you to have some sort of hobby that allows you to visualize things as you do it, so that you can kind of think about things while not forcing yourself to visualize. If visualizing comes naturally to you by doing nothing, then you can do it. But I know some people, like, you can visualize while listening to music or while painting or doing some sort of hobby, but you can't do it when you just try and force yourself to do it. So that's some techniques to try out. If you are someone where like you can visualize but you can't do it when you want to, allow yourself to try and do it while doing something in your normal routine, like when you're washing the dishes or while you're doing something creative, but that you are okay with letting your mind kind of daydream for a bit. Because really that's the vibe I get. It's almost like through your visualizations or your daydreams, this is when you start to sort things out. I also feel like some of you pay attention to your dreams. And so the way you ground yourself is by learning from the messages in your dreams and then taking those messages and turning it into action in your daily life. But again, it's a very unique way to ground. It's the process of change that allows you to ground. And I think the reason for this is that through change and through adaptation comes this level of accountability, and it also brings in this level of control. And so when you ground, it's almost like taking control of yourself, of your emotions, and the things going on in your life. And so you're doing that through this process of change and allowing yourself to work with it instead of resisting it. So I really hope this helps you out, and I hope that it resonates for you. If it did, let me know in the YouTube comments down below. If you want to get your own private reading, I do sell them. You can check out my Etsy shop, or you can message me on Facebook or Instagram. And if this reading resonates and you want to leave a donation, I greatly appreciate it. All my links are going to be in the description box down below. If you haven't already, please subscribe. I would love to have you a part of this family. And make sure you turn on that bell notification so you don't miss out when I post my next video. I post new videos every single week, and I'm going to have more of my videos linked in the cards above for you to watch next. I can't wait to see you all in my next video. I hope you have a good one. Bye.